So last time we were talking about mainly about the VMs, and we deployed some VMs as well. So just one VM we deployed. We also talked about availability sets, availability zones, regions. So just to give a gist about all of those, if you divide the world into different regions, geographies, so there are total 52 regions as per Azure, and in all of those regions there are different zones. So a zone is like a place where there are two or more security data centers that are present. So that is an availability zone, whereas an availability set of placing VMs is placing the VM into different racks. So we talked about all of those. We talked about fault domains where the if the fault happens, your VMs into different racks so that the fault does not go to another VM. We also talked about the update domains where if one of the VMs goes into an updation mode, the other VMs or other parts of your other copies of your VM are not updated simultaneously. So those were the update domains that we saw. We looked into the deployment of our VMs. Let us go back to our home. Okay. And of course, we were talking about the politics. So we were deploying all the VMs as per the different political names. Um, so what today we would be doing is we would be looking into different we would be looking into different NSGs and virtual networks, including the subnetting part. So I would be making you revise all the subnetting parts that you had studied in your basically in colleges or schools, where you looked into different networks or how the networks are being subnetted. So I would be talking about all of that into today's lecture. And so we can till then, till others are joining. I think how much people do we have? Okay, I think more would be joining soon. So by that time, let's do one thing. Let's start to deploy our another virtual machine that we have. So let's go to. So this was the earlier virtual machine that we deployed. Let's go ahead and deploy another virtual machine. I would be going through it a little quickly. We have that this resource group. Resource group is the place where other virtual machines or other resources can be placed, all the resources. We have a virtual machine name. Let's call it Amit Shah was there. Let's call it Sita Raman. Okay, the finance minister. Uh, Let the location be East US only. Let there be availability zone. So availability zones or availability sets you can't change after you have deployed the VM. So you should be having that point noted. So if you have chosen an availability set, you can't change it after the VM has been deployed. You can choose the image. We would be taking again a Windows VM that we have. So just to tell you, so my VM was running from past all these days, and let's see. So we have still 13,112 rupees. So I had a credit of 13,500. So we have just exhausted about 400 of that credit in past 1 or 2 weeks that we have used. So that is the usage rate that we have. I am using the 2019 data center Gen 1 again, and the size, let it be. So you can choose the different VM sizes based on the different uh, RAM or IOPS that you want. So D2VS3, D2V3 is the normal size that we would be selecting. Username, since we are having a Windows machine, the normal login would be through RDP. So I'd be giving a username of Sita Raman um, @1234. And okay, it does not should not have an at the rate. I will be removing that and giving a password as Sita Raman @1234. It would be the same. Let me save these credentials as well. Sita Raman @1234. Okay. Let me save these credentials. Okay, we were working in this. Okay. Mm, mm, mm. So we have Sita Raman 1234 as the username and Sita Raman @1234 as the password. And the other virtual machine's username and password, I think I forgot. Okay, we reset that. We have chosen the inbound port as 3389 where an RDP would be happening. We can connect to the machine. Licensing, we do not have a Windows license with us. Disks, we are choosing the premium disk for premium SSD for easy transfer and quick transfers. We are using encryption types. All this was taken care. We can go to networking. We have a virtual network created. This is the virtual network created. Subnet we can choose as this is the subnet. Okay, let us create. Okay, let it be. Let's have this subnet only. We will change that later. Sitaraman IP address. Let's make these configurations as normal ones. Boot diagnostics. So boot diagnostics were used for checking the boot level configurations. If we're having some errors, OS diagnostics, identity, auto shutdown, backup, all these things. I'm keeping them to default only. Getting to advanced tab, we do not want any custom data or extensions we were talking about earlier as well. Extensions are basically the extensions are the features that we add to our virtual machine for added functionalities, whether it be an added insights that we want or added securities or etc. So there are many extensions that we have. You can choose any of the extensions from all these extensions that are present. You cannot add multiple extensions now into your VM. So earlier, as you used to allow external extensions and they used to check whether these extensions can be allowed, Azure does not support does not means it allows you to place other extensions into your VM, but it does not take what do you call it, take responsibility of adding different agents if you add them yourself. So it does not take any responsibility for all of these agents. These are already pre-configured. All these machines, all these people are pre-configured with Azure, so you can use these extensions with some charges, of course. So uh, host groups, I'm not taking any of those. Taggings, let's keep it at the normal tagging that we were using production. Okay, let's make it UAT. Okay, review and create. So this is the normal rate that I would be charged for, 12.4261 INR per hour. That would be the normal charge of this machine. And we have everything configured. We would just click on create. By the way, you can download the template as well. This is the JSON template that you can download to reconfigure the machines or automate the process at a faster speed. So this is the normal create button that you can have, and it will create our virtual machine. By that time, let us go back to our home and go back to virtual machines that we had. This was the earlier virtual machine that we had. We click on refresh. So by that time, let's reset its password. So we have a password reset button over here. Let's keep it as Amit Shah 1234 and Amit Shah @1234 as the password. Amit @1234 as the password, and we will update that. So that you can do very easily by just going to your VM and doing that. Let's save this password as well. So the password is Amit Shah 1234 is the username, and Amit Shah @1234 is the password. So we have two VMs that are deployed, and the password for the other one we have just rechanged. It does not have any rechange password issues based on the policies that you can't set the password from past three passwords or you have set or anything. It is just a major password reset. You can set any password, anything that you had set previously that you can apply over here. It does not have those policies pre-built inbuilt in that. Okay, if we go to our notifications, okay, we have our VM deployed, the other one. We can quickly go to, okay, so we have both our VMs deployed. Okay, did I create another resource group? Oh, let me check. Resource groups. Oh, it is just one only. Okay, might be happening something. Okay, so quickly let's connect to one of our virtual machines as well. So you can click on connect over here. So RDP was there. You can download the RDP file to connect to that machine. It has downloaded this RDP file. You can click it. We say connect. Use a different user. We have Amit Shah 1234. Password is, we do not want a domain name. Um, okay, let's see. Amit Shah, and let's try to connect. Say yes. And we are into our machine. Okay, that was pretty easy and quick. So of course we do not have any security. Your remote desktop session has ended. Another user connected to the remote computer.
So Anurag,
Yeah.
I just try to connect it, and I have a
Okay.
point here.
Yes.
So when you open the 3389,
Mm-hmm.
right, from the internet traffic to allow
Mm-hmm.
the internet traffic on this, isn't it risky?
It is very much risky. That is the reason we would be coming to the network security groups now.
Okay.
So
So I think we
mm,
are going to cover that in the next network
yes, yes.
security module, right?
Today only. So next thing that we
Okay.
are covering,
Okay.
that
You can take control. I'm disconnecting, huh?
no, I was just showing. So it is good that you did that. So everyone, so you could see that Krishna also connected to the same machine. Because if we look, so now we were talking about network security groups. Network security groups, NSGs. So this was the NSG that was configured. So that was pre-configured into the Amit Shah machine that we created. What is an NSG? NSG is a network security group that we configure. It is the basic policy that defines which are the different people who can connect to this machine. It is the inbound, outbound port rules that we configure onto our virtual machines or to our subnets, by which anyone within our network, outside our network, can connect to our virtual machines. Okay, so by default, if you are making any of the virtual machines, an NSG is created along with that if you are not using an earlier NSG that is pre-configured. Okay, so right now if you see, we have this Sitaraman NSG that was created. If I click on that, we have not looked at it yet. So this is the normal policy that we have. If you see, every NSG, I'm telling you about every NSG that you configure comes with 6 inbuilt policies that are by default over there.
Yeah, that's my point, Anurag. That's what I wanted to highlight it here. So by default, if you are going to configure in Azure, so
Mhm.
it will allow the internet traffic to the RDP port 3389 if you opened it. So make sure while you are going to configure, you will have to check your network policy, and if it's not required, you have to remove that network policy that internet traffic should not be directly hitting on the 3389. It should not be allowed.
Exactly, exactly. So at times, teams come to us and they say that I have this port open, while we are, when we do that Nmap scanning onto our applications, and sometimes there are a lot of ports open, and they come to us that no, I don't know how to close these ports or how to do these things. It's very simple. Now you can tell them that, boss, how do you wish to close that port? If we look over here, this is the 300, this is the priority 300, port 3389. Priorities I will talk just in a second. So we have this RDP port 3389 that is open on this machine. If we click on that, you can see source. This is anyone from the internet can come to this machine and log into this machine. This is the source port. This is the source. We are talking about the inbound rule. Inbound machine is here. Inbound, who is coming inside that machine? That is the inbound rule for that machine. So we are talking about inbound rules. So IP address, service tag, and application security group. We can configure an IP address that only, let's say, me. if I am having an IP address, I should be coming to this machine to get inside that machine. I can have a service tag. Service tag is this common tags that Azure has created by which you can configure your RDP, your network security group tag based on that service tag. So there are multiple tags. Anyone from the internet can come. This is the one of the biggest service tag, internet. Anyone from the internet can come. Virtual networks, Azure load balancers. So it has each and every Azure instance that you can have inside Azure. So you can have specific storages as well. Storage from East US, East UAP means anyone from that storage can come and pick this resource. Anyone can connect from that resource. If you are configuring resources are storage. So if you're configuring, let's say, database that you wish to use this machine for, or you want this machine to use that storage for a to and fro network, that is the storage, that is the service tag that you can imply over there. Along with that, there are SQL databases, there are key vaults, there are, so key vaults, I think most of us know what a key vault is, but I would be coming to that in the later sections of our videos. There are service hubs. So all these are the service tags that you can deploy and that they would be using this machine. So if, let's say, from the internet, I want only 1, 2, 3, 4 port, means if Krishna wants to connect to this machine, he would have to use 1, 2, 3, 4 port from his machine to connect to that machine. That is the source port configuration as well that we can do. Similarly, on the destination side, so currently we are talking about just that NSG group. This NSG group is, uh, let me just say it in a way that NSG is a group that you can connect either to a virtual machine or to a subnet that we have. Subnet is a multiple connection of different devices. So destination can be an IP address which can connect, which means it can be any of the machines, any of the storages, any of the things by which you want an external connection to come. Network security group is aligned to our virtual machine. All the security rules that I'm applying over here would, and in this NSG I can use the same NSG into another virtual machines as well. So this is the NSG that I'm configuring. In the destination IP address, I would have to uh, type the IP address of my machine. So my machine's IP
I think
address is,
Anurag, we can call it virtual firewall, right? If I'm
um
not wrong.
yes, it can be called as a firewall or an rule inside our firewall. So if some traffic has entered our firewall as well, it cannot reach to that specific machine if this specific rule is applied.
So
What we
beauty of this Azure is you don't have to deploy a separate physical or any other firewall. You inbuilt firewall we can use as a
Yes,
this
a
feature,
security
right?
control. So yes, a
Yeah,
security control that we can say. So
yeah.
that we are employing over here. The drawbacks. Okay, I will come to drawbacks into some other sections when we will be talking separately about the securities. It is just an added security, an added firewall that we have right now. So over here, I've written the IP address of my machine. Network security group is a policy. I am giving it to my IP address that if some if traffic from internet comes from port 1234, then redirect it, means if they want to access this machine 10.1.0.4, which is my machine's IP address, if they wish to reach to that machine through port 3389, then you allow them via TCP, and action is allowed that you allow them, or you can deny them. If someone is coming from internet through port 1234 and they want to come and you wish to deny that, you can deny that over here. So this is the network security group policies that you can deploy in your Azure for configuring the traffic to and fro to your machines. Okay, priorities. When we talk about priorities, we have priorities from 100 to 65,000 something. The lowest the priority, the higher the rule. So if I configure some other policy where the priority is 299, that policy would be higher than this policy. Okay, priorities go into reverse fashion. So lowest the priority, it says like I came first, I'm higher than you. I came second, I'm lower than you. So priorities start from 100 and they go up to 65,000. So the lowest the priority, the highest is the value for that. Okay, so if I have configured this priority 300 and the other priorities are 65,000 or something higher than that, this priority would be given weightage. this priority would be higher to them. Okay. Uh, there's one more thing. There's one more point of security that you should be taking care while you're deploying the RDP rules. Always in Azure, whenever you are working on policies or network security group or anywhere else, always remember that deny policy is higher than priority. If you have, say, I have configured this policy, let's say, let's keep it any, and let's make it again any, uh, let's make it any. Okay, I have allowed this. So this is at a policy of 300 and I saved that. And till then I go to inbound security rules and I create another policy which is the same. Destination port range is 3389. Anyone from the internet can connect. Um, and this is again allowed. The priority, this is denied, and the priority is 310 for this. Okay, and I have added this rule as well. So let's wait for it to be applied. Okay. Did I do something wrong? Okay, I did not change the name for that. Let it be. This is the same policy that we have. Okay, I forgot to change the name. Forget that. Uh, so we have two policies now. Both are for RDP. The port is same. Anyone from the internet can connect to RDP to this machine. But what I have done is I have changed the priorities for that. The deny rule, which is the deny rule, if you see over here, the deny rule is having 310 priority and the allow rule is having a 300 priority. By default, 300 should be given more weightage since it is having a low number. But since the deny rule is applied for the same in the same NSG for the same port and from the internet only, the deny would be given a high priority because it is deny. So deny by default in Azure comes with a high priority. If you have denied 3389 port anywhere with any priority, it will be denied until and unless you remove that policy. So uh, if anyone now tries to connect to this machine, so Krishna, you can try to connect to this machine again and you won't be able to get inside. So
Okay,
this is,
let me try.
yes, by that time we can talk about the other NSG policies that we have. So if we go into if we create any of the NSG policies, so there would be 6 by default policies that would be applied. So this is the allow VNet inbound. That means all the virtual networks can connect to your machine. This is the allow VNet inbound. Allow Azure load balancer inbound. If you have a load balancer, it can connect to your virtual machine. That is the inbound traffic that it can allow. And deny all inbound. That means if it is denying all inbound, that is a
It's
specific
still
rule.
working for me, Anurag. I'm
Okay,
able
then
to take the
we,
control.
we might have done some mistakes over here. Um, or I have changed some of the allow ports. Okay, I'm working on the Sitaram NSG. I'm not working on the Amit Shah NSG. You are connecting to the Amit Shah machine. We have to deploy the same policy
Oh,
into the Amit
yes,
Shah.
yes, yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes. So then it will work. Okay. In the deny all inbound, so it is denying all the outbound traffic into all the inbound traffic into your machine. But it in this over here, we have these two as exceptions. While it is the Azure's by default configurations, in the deny all inbound, we have this configuration where it is denying those policies. So these are the priorities that are configured over there. If we talk about allow VNet outbound, so we have that outbound traffic that we can connect to VNets. We have internet outbound. We can from our machine we can go to our outbound servers, and the last one is deny all outbound servers. So we can deny all the outbound connections that are going. So these are the 6 policies that are pre-configured into our network security groups. Do we have Michael that has joined us today? Michael Joshua. Okay, he has not joined us today. He asked a question regarding virtual machines last time. So I had that answer, but okay, we will be talking about that later whenever he joins. Basically, the question was that can subscriptions be added into the management groups, or they should be added at different levels? So they are configured. I can have multiple subscriptions into the same management group or not. So subscriptions are specific to tenants and not the management groups. You can have multiple subscriptions or a same subscription into the different management groups, but cannot be there into the same tenant. So subscriptions are aligned to tenants. And transfer and change directories. We will be talking about directories and tenants while we will be talking about IAM, the security roles into our Azure. So coming to network security groups. So network security groups, we have this. So network security groups can be aligned only to two places. One is the VM, the virtual machine that we are deploying. The other is the subnet that where we are deploying. So network security groups, this is a hot question. This is asked everywhere. Network security group can be assigned only to a subnet. Subnet is where all the devices, all the things are present. And the other one is the VM, the specific virtual machine on which you can deploy that NSG. So NSG can be deployed only on those two places. Coming to the Azure Virtual Network, what the virtual network is, we have deployed NSGs. We are looking at the network. We are deploying different machines, but what a virtual network is? Virtual network is the internal network or the virtual network that we are creating for different. We are assigning different IP addresses, different nodes. We are having different routers, different machines. So all that is the virtual network in Azure that we are talking about. In the virtual networks, what we look at is the if we look over here, we have load balancers, we have different tiers, we have NSGs onto different. These are the subnets: web tier subnet, we have business tier subnet, we have data tier subnet. All those have different NSGs aligned to them. If you see, so all these VMs lie into a particular subnet, and this complete all these subnets are into a virtual network. Now when we look at the virtual networks, or let's see how the virtual networks look, and then I would be showing you on the board as well for different virtual networks that we have. Let's come to virtual networks. This was one of that virtual network that we created. If we look over here, this was another, okay, IP address that was assigned to that. If we look at the address space, I have configured this virtual network into an address space of 10.1.0.0/16, and this is the range for that. Which are the people? Who are the people over here who do not have much idea about the virtual networks, or they had read about that but they do not remember it much? Anyone? Do you know how this 65,536 count came? Okay. I'm considering that you have that knowledge, but you might have read that previously. So I would be talking about that again. I would be talking about subnets again. So this is one of the subnets that I created over there. So let's go to our other, let's go other side and see how those virtual networks. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, Anuj.
Okay. Um, so when we talk about uh, virt- virtual networks, uh, when we talk about virtual networks, there is first thing that comes as the CIDR addresses. The CIDR addresses and subnets. Okay. So when we talk about CIDR addresses or the subnets, when we talk about CIDR addresses or the subnets, what are CIDR addresses? When we write something like 172.16.0.0/16, when we write this kind of address, where there is a slash and we have some address space onto that. That is called a CIDR address. Uh, when we talk about subnets, what a subnet is, the number of IP addresses that can be there into this particular CIDR address. So this is the subnet that we have created. How many IP addresses can be there? It can have 65,535 IP addresses. How that came? If let's say I want to configure a subnet, I want to configure a proper subnet where there can be only, let's say, 60 computers there can be there. So I want to create a subnet where there should be only 60 devices or 60 IP addresses that can be configured into that subnet that we have. How do we do that? Into the subnet space, we would have, let's say, this is my IP address that I have already. So there is a concept of network bits and host bits. If I look over here, if I write it like this, 172.16.0.0, this has this has a 32-bit address space. So this is 32-bit, this is 32, this is a complete 32-bit address space, which 8 bits each, 8 bits each we have. In these 8 bits, we have this 16 where this is the network bits and these are the host bits. Only the IP addresses can be assigned into these two spaces. If we break this down, 8, we can write it like 0 0 0 0 0 0 6 7 8 dot 0 0 0 0 4 5 6 7 8. This is the host space that we have. We can forget the network space as of now. This is the host space that we have. If now I want to have 60 total IP addresses, 60 total machines that I have. You can remember the last bits as 128, 64, 32, 32. This can be 16. This is 8. This is 4. This is 2, and this is 1. Each and every number out there can be made through these bits. So each and every address space or each and every subnetting can be made through these numbers. How? I would be coming to that. So now we want to create 60 machines, 60 hosts that we want to configure. What is the nearest number that we can have to have 60 addresses into it? We can configure that using 2 to the power n minus 2. This is the normal rule that we have. 2 to the power n minus 2 is the normal rule that you have to remember. If I'm talking about 2 to the power n, if I say 2 to the power 1 minus 2, it is 2, it is 0. If I say 2 to the power 2, no, 2 to the power. If I go to 2 to the power 5, it is 2 to the 2 to the 4 to the 8 to the 16 to the 32. 32 minus 2 is 30. It also can't happen. If I go to 2 to the power 6 minus 2, it is 32 into 2, it is 64. 64 minus 2, that is 62 IP addresses that I can have. So if I want to configure 60 machines, I can have this 2 to the power 6. That means I can leave 6 bits over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are the 6 bits that I can leave. And I can have this as my IP address. So that can be, I will choose 128 plus 64. 128 plus 64 is 192. 192. This can be the same. I hope it is visible in the down as well. So this is 192 now. I have left this space. So there the number that came to us is 60 is 6. So I have left 6 blocks over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have left 6 places over here, and comes to us after adding these two, the leftover. So these are the network bits that would be added now. So these are the 2 bits that I have. When I calculate them, it is 192. This would be if I add all of these, it is 2255. So this is the network space that I'm getting. So this is the network IP address. This is the network mask that I'm getting. Network mask is how much IP addresses can I configure. So how much is the space that I have. So I have 255.192 that I have right now. When I talk about configuring the subnet for that, if I want to have 60 IP addresses, 60 IP addresses into that, the leftover space that I have, if I remove all of these, is adding all of that. So if I remove from the 32 that I have, if I have 172, if I have 172.16.0.0/16, and I have taken only 6 bits into the host, the other are the network bits now. Network bits now. If I remove from here the 6, if I remove 6 from 32 that I have the normal space, then the space would come to 172.16.0.0/32 minus 6 is 26. 26. In the 26, if I'm writing 26 as the IP address, as the network mask, then in 26 I am getting these 60 IP addresses. Was a little bit clear, or there is some confusion on that? Anyone? I can explain that later. I can explain it again with the different mask. Or if we are talking about, let's say, I'm telling you about, if we don't take these IP addresses, let's say I'm talking just about the subnet, how many IP addresses would be there into a particular subnet? If we are talking about 16, how many IP addresses are there? This is 8-bit, this is 8-bit. Those both are there into the host bits. Each host bit has this number of this configuration. So if you calculate that, that is 255. 255.255. If you multiply 255 into 255, you will get that 65,535 address space. If I am looking, let's say I increase that. So if I am increasing that to 172, I'm increasing that to 172.16.0.0/17. I'm writing it to 17. I've increased 1 bit over here. What that 1 bit increase means, that I have given this 1 bit extra. So there were 8 bits over here. I have given this 1 bit extra to the network group. That means how many is left over there? If I remove 128 over here from 255, if I remove 255, may say, if I remove 128, I remove from 255, how much would be there? Actually it is 256, because we count 0 as well. So if I remove 128 from 255, we get 126. If I create it, if I look at it, 256, if I create count as, so there is 126 that I get. This 126 is the address space that I will be getting. So total number of hosts that I would be getting in this, in 17, would be, so how much I have left over there? I have 126 over here, and I have 256 over here. When I multiply these two, that would come around 32,000 something. So that is the total number of IP addresses that I can have over here. If now I'm coming to a lower bit, this is my complete virtual network that I'm creating. I have created a virtual network of /16. That means I have 65,000 IP addresses into this. If I want to create a lower subnet into that, I want to create a subnet which should have less number of IP addresses into it, then it should be created via creating a subnet. So if I'm creating a subnet into that, I would write it like 172.16. I can have this one as anything from 0 to 255 to create our first subnet. Let's say I created it 0. Let's create it as 1/0/24. Now it is 24. That means 888. These 3 bits are for network. So these 3 bits, 8, 8, and 8, are for network. Only this is the host bit. So from 32 minus 24, these are the 8 bits. So only these 8 bits are there for configuring the network, or configuring for the host. This 0, this is the only bit that I can configure for configuring the host, where I can assign IP addresses to people. I can assign IP addresses to different hosts. That is this last bit that I have from after 24. If this was 23, I would have taken 1 bit from the previous octet that I have. I would have taken 1 bit, one host bit from this one as well, if this was 23. Okay, currently we have 24. What does 24 mean? When I'm talking about 24, when I'm talking about 24, What does that mean? That I can configure my IP addresses from 172.16.0, sorry, /1 we have. So from 1.0 to 172.16.1.255 is the total number of addresses that I can have into that subnet /24. I am teaching you this because this would be continuously used throughout journey, because while we would be configuring different hosts, we would be configuring different machines, different NSGs, different groups, different IP addresses. This is the concept where we would be using what is the IP address that is assigned to our machine. If we look into the range that we had created over there, we had created our range as 10.0.0 10.1.0.0/16 was the VNet virtual network, the higher network that I had created. Into that, I would be creating two different subnets. So one subnet I would be creating as 1.1.0/24. The other one would be 10.1.2.0/24. So these are the two subnets that I would be creating into that. This subnet is from this subnet. Anyone? This subnet would be from 10.1.1.0 to 10.1.1.255. This would be the first subnet. This would be the subnet that we would be having, this one. If we talk about this, it would be having a range from 10.1.2.0 to 10.1.2.255. So that is the total number of IP addresses. It would also have 255 IP addresses. It would also have 255 IP addresses. Can someone tell me, can I have an IP address 10.2.1.0 into my this range, this complete virtual network? Yes or no? Just yes or no. This IP address 10.2.1.0. Can I have that IP address into my range? Anyone? Yes or no?
No, it's a network host.
Exactly. Anyone? That is correct. So we can't have that. We can't have that 10.2 because we have not bought that range. This is the network range that we have. If I'm dividing the complete set into octets, I have those first two octets with, I do not have those first two octets with me. From the government or from the people that I have brought my address range, I have just bought these two ranges /16. You count it from the very last. I have bought /16 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I have bought till 16 only. Apart from that, all the bits over here, if you write them, you can write them as not zero, but these are ones. These are the network bits. These are with the network owners, which are the network providers, the government or anyone, the ISPs. They have these bits. You can't have them. So you have bought only the space that is with you /16. You counted from the very right of yours. So you have those 16 bits with you, 8 over here and 8 in the second half. 8 over here and 8 in the second half.
Had it been 24, then in that case we could have added like 10.2 dot like whatever.
No, if you had 8, so if I'm, let's
No,
say,
another 8, like we had till 16. So if we had 24 in that case, like we could have.
if we had 24, what would be the network mask in that case? The network mask in that case would be 172.16.0/0/. We have now 24 bits with us. How many network bits are there left? How many network bits? We have total 32 network bits. We have total So we have a total of 32 network bits. So these are the total network bits that are predefined. So these are the total bits that we can have, or let's say not network bits. These are the total bits that we have, 32 in the form of 4 octets, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now what your question is that we have with us means we have bought from the government
24 bits. That means we have bought 8 over here. This is the total maximum that is present over here. I have bought 8 over here as well, and I have bought 8 over here as well. Okay, I have these 3 with me. What is left over here? 32 minus 24. 8.
8.
That means the network mask over here would be 8. Okay, that means you have these 3 with you. That means you can configure the IP addresses. Now we can have that IP address. Now I can have 10.2. something something. I can have anything over there because now I own the second bit as well. In the 4 bits that we have, if let's say I'm writing, if I'm writing this, let me divide this. If I'm dividing the address space as 172.16, let me simplify that. Let's use another one. Let's use 10.0.0.0 slash. Now when I'm writing 24 over here, what does 24 means? That 24 bits are there with network owner. That means these 3 bits, 888 network owner. You can't change these bits. You can only change this one. This is with you. You can only change this one to have your IP address range over here. And this can range from 0 to 255. So you can have IP addresses between 0 to 255. That means you have 256 IP addresses with you. That's all. If now let's say I change this to 16. What does that mean? That now 16 bits are with you. That means you have owned one more bit, one more octet over here. Now you have this octet as well with you. What does this octet have? It again has 0 to 255 range. That means now you can permutate the combination. That means you can have 0 to 255 over here. Then when this 255 is filled, you can have 1.0 to 255. Now you can have 2.0 to 255, anything, any IP address with you. So this again is going till 255.255. This is the normal range that you are having. So answering to your question, if we have IP address of if we have 24 bits with us, 24 bits means 8 over here, 8 over here, and 8 over here. If we have bought till over here, if we have the range with us, this is again 0 to 255 that we have. And if we have bought this range as well, then of course we can change first 3 octets anytime that we want. Okay, this is the broad category. This is the broad category that we have. If we wish to go inside this category, that is the same logic that I told you. So if let's say I have an address space of, this was 8 when I had everything. So this was 8 that I had. If now let's say I have an address space of 24 and I want to have an IP address of 10.0.1.10. Would that be into my range? Anyone? I have my address space as 24 and this is the IP address that I want. In this address range 10.0.0.0, I want an IP address of 10.0.1.10. Can I have that address space?
No, Nurang.
No.
Exactly. So I think that much is very much clear. So if we are talking about total number of IP addresses that I can have 255 into 256 into 256. This is the normal IP address that I can have. In case of /16, if we talk about /8, it is approximately 1 million IP addresses that I can have. So that would be 256 into 256 into 256. That is the total address space that I have. The last thing that I'm telling you in this addressing is that I'm showing again. So we have 24 as of now. Okay, we have 24 address spaces. That means we have, if I divide this again, I have 0, 0, 0, 0, 4, 7, 8. Okay, this is the 8 octet, this one octet, this octet over here. Okay, this is the octet that I have. Again, write it down. 128, 64, It is just like 2 to the power 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 to the power 0 is 1, 2 to the power 0 is 1, 2 to the power 1 is 2, 2 to the power 2 is 4, then we have 8, then we have 16, that we have 32, then we have 64, then we have 128. Okay, now when I write the address space as 25, now when I write the address space as 25, what would happen? How many IP addresses would be there? Whenever we do this, you will again, so the network person, you can consider as a ghost. So when the network host comes to us and says, "Ki," so earlier when it was 24, this much was there with network. Okay, this much was there with network. Now I increased that 25. That means I gave one more bit to network. So when that network host would come to us, we will give him the leftmost bit. This bit 128 would be given to him. That is just like a giant who is coming to eat the highest value number that we have. So it will come, it will eat this 128. So how much would be left with us? This is the address space that would be left to us. We would have 64 plus 32 plus 16 plus 8 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1. We would have these number of IP addresses left with us. What this comes out to be? This comes out to be around 126 IP addresses, 126 or 127 IP addresses that would be left with us in this address space. This is the way that /25 works. So what would be the address range? Now, what is the address range that I can configure my IP addresses in? I can configure my IP addresses from 10.0.0 slash 120 after 128, from 129 till 255, and the other subnet. So there is /25 and I have that complete subnet. So if I have two subnets created now in this range, if I'm talking about 0 to, firstly 0 to 128 would be my first IP address range that I would be having. I have segmented the network. I have created a network segment. That means 128 is there with the network bit. That means now I can have these much of IP addresses over here. If I want to create another subnet, I want to create another, I had that complete IP address of 24. Okay, you see, I have a complete IP address of 24 where there is a segment of 128 on each side. I gave 128 to network and I have 128 left with me. There is an equal segmentation that was there. But if let's say that was not given to network, but I had assigned these 128 IP addresses into a specific network, I had these 128 given to management. Let's say Saurabh Thapliyal or anyone from the management had these 128 IP addresses, and these 128 are left with me. Those are not used by anyone. What I can do with that 128 IP addresses, I can assign those 128 IP addresses within my network as well, because the first subnet is there from 10.0.0.0 slash till to 128, and the other subnet would be 10.0.0.0 uh, from the next bit over here, from 129 till 255. This is again 128, and the subnet representation would be, the subnet representation for this block, this IP address, this subnet would be 10.0.0.129/25. This /25 means that you start the network bit from 129. Now you have the other subnet with you. You do not have that zero wala subnet. That zero subnet is with management, and you want this HR subnet. This is, let's say, the HR that you want. So you will provide them the subnet that has 10.0.0.129/25. That is the normal range that you would be configuring, or 129 or 128, whatever we want. If we count from 0 to 120, 0 to 128, that is 127. So 128th bit would be here. So 128. So from 128, you will get the other subnet. I would be showing you that practically as well, that how much addresses are there in Azure and how much we have configured. By default, Azure. Okay, there's one last thing. While we are configuring all the IP addresses, everything, there's one thing to note. that in the address range space of anything, let's say 10 dot in the address range space of 10.0.0.0/24. In this 24, the IP addresses are from 10.0.0.0.0 to 10.0.0.2255. This is the address range that I have over here. This is the network bit, means this is the network IP address that I cannot change. This is the network IP address. I cannot use this IP address. And this is the broadcast IP address, and this is the network IP. So where all the network configurations are made. So this is the network IP. I cannot use this. This is the broadcast IP, the last one. The first and the last bits are always consumed. Whereas in Azure, this is the point to be noted. Whereas in Azure, your first 3 bits are taken by Azure and last 2 bits are taken by Azure. So Azure takes your 5 bits. So if you want to configure a network where you are giving 255 address spaces, 5 has been already been taken by Azure. This is to be noted. It will be asked. It might be a hot question as well. 5 address spaces are taken by Azure wherever you are configuring a network. Okay. So I think we have already rushed almost our time. So anything over here, I would be giving you that videos or etc. all those things into our next session on Monday. But this is the main concept of subnetting or virtual network. Do you have anything, any questions over here right now? We have 2-3 minutes left. Address spaces, which are the address spaces that are taken by Azure? How many bits? Anyone? From the starting and from the end? I just told. It is the 3 bits from the starting. Yes.
It was 5, right?
It is 5. 3 from the starting. 1, 2, 3. So the first machine you configure or virtual machine was getting an IP address of 10.0.0.4 is the first IP address that is assigned to any of our resource when we assign that. So if I would show over here, there as well, the first IP address that would be assigned to our machine would be 10.0.0.4 because the first 3 bits 1, 2, and 3 is with Azure, and we can configure this machine. We can keep configuring till 253 because 254 and 255 are again with Azure. So there are total 5 addresses that are with Azure. In by default, in every
Anurag, sorry to interrupt. Like first will be 10.0.0.3 because 0, 1, 2.
yeah, okay, 0, 1, 2.
Yeah. Okay.
Or I think the configuration by default with Azure is 1, 2, 3. So you can pick 0 or it is first 3. I would check that again. So it is either
Okay.
3 or 4 over here. But the first 3 bits are there over here and the last 2 bits. Okay. Total 5 addresses are with Azure. So this was the complete subnetting that we studied. So it has each and everything about subnets and different subnets that we can create. These are the CIDR IP addresses that we'll be configuring while configuring each of the other virtual machines or etc. So if we now look at the higher picture for that, if we have studied about everything, if we now look at the higher picture quickly, then this is our virtual network that we have created. This has an address space of 10.1.0.0/16. This is the complete address space that I have. It has 65,000 IP addresses into it that I've configured in Azure. This is the space that I've taken in Azure. In this, I can create smaller subnets which can have an address space of 10.1 anything, let's say 1.0/24. This would have 255 IP addresses. We can have another smaller one which can have 128 IP addresses whose IP address would be 10.1.1. Or 2.0/25. So this is another subnet that I've created. These are the subnets in my bigger virtual network. These are the subnets that I have. So whenever you are talking about different subnets, these subnets are different containers. They do not talk to each other. if you have configured a machine over here, you cannot reach over here. These are the different subnets. These are the different blocks of code that you have. You cannot reach from one machine to another one. Okay, that is subnetting for you. So if you want to talk between these machines, we would be getting to that into our next lecture. So that is for now that these are separate. All the machines configured over here and all the machines configured over here, they cannot talk to each other. That is subnetting for you. So I think that was all in today's lecture. And any questions, anything that you have, and we can cover that into the next lecture, or anything that you wish to ask. Anyone?
Yeah, Anurag, thank you. It's very interesting. And I have one thing in my mind. I have
Yes.
done that previously. Within the same network, since it's a virtual, there are separate VLAN can be created. So is there any way to do here in Azure as well?
Yes. So that
You
is
can in next session.
okay. Okay. I will cover that into our next session. Anyone, any other doubts? I hope this was clear. Virtual network subnets, different networks that we can create. Any other thing? Anyone? Okay, then. Thanks a lot, everyone, for joining. And I will be placing my next session very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you